Hello and welcome to Soups and Sabers for our last Superman Sunday leading up to Superman's latest movie, Superman by James Gunn, uh, starring David Corn Sweat. We are having a really fun, and I'll just say this too, we are recording it the day that tickets went on sale. We're recording it well in advance, close to a month in advance, because they've just started to unleash a whole bunch of TV spots and a latest trailer on us. And I want us to get what this episode is our like final wish list. What we want from this movie, what we expect from this movie. Um, we can even talk about those trailers and TV spots and the newest things we've seen and stuff. But I, on June 11th, wanted to get this out of here now. So that way, these last thoughts and last wishes are not like impacted by more press articles coming out that maybe give out more little nuggets of info that we didn't know beforehand, all that kind of stuff. Because I just kind of want to capture this moment because it's becoming real, right? You put a tweet out there today saying, you got your ticket, it's real.
Yep.
And that is how I'm starting to feel as we just keep seeing the ramp of the marketing. At one point, people were asking, where's the marketing? And it's here. And my name is Jordan. With me, as always, Chris on these Superman Sundays. How are you take, Chris?
You know, you kind of said what I was going to say. I mean, it's like it's real. It feels like we're finally there. It's the last march to the movie, and I couldn't be more excited. I actually have tickets to see it twice, so I cannot, even believe it. I'm already planning a third thing, probably Saturday that opening weekend. I'm super excited. Maybe Friday. I'm so excited. I am. We're going to really live in the theater for that moment, but we're living for that moment to get here at this point because, I mean, this is the biggest buildup of a movie we've ever had. Superman Sundays have been a blast so far, and I mean, I guess it's the end of Superman Sundays basically for the listener. But I'm so ready for this movie, and it's a good feeling. It really is.
Yeah, like Terry Hatcher said, one of our former Lois Lanes, as she said on Seinfeld, it's real and it's spectacular, right? We are at that point
Good pull.
now where we are getting closer and closer to the movie. And I can't, like I said, this is releasing the week of the movie. If it's this in your face now, I can't imagine how it's going to be that week. So I'm sure the listener is probably also thinking that as well. But yeah, our last Superman Sunday leading into the movie, there will be one more, and it's our post movie discussion coming out the Sunday after the movie releases. We'll have coverage building up to it. Chris was lucky enough to score tickets to the fan event that screens on the Tuesday. So probably Tuesday night, Wednesday, somewhere around there, Chris will release a spoiler-free
Spoiler free. I'll be good.
spoiler-free discussion with himself, like quick thoughts of this is my thoughts, whatever. Thursday, Ron and Chris are going to see it. Ron seeing it for the first time, Chris seeing it again, so he better like this movie.
I really
And
better.
with that, they will have our usual Thursday drop of out of the theater reactions. Those will be spoiler.
Yep.
And that is time to be like probably in the evening East Coast time released because they're going to the 2 and 3 o'clock showings. So it'll be released probably around 8 or 9 Eastern, which means us on the East Coast, people on the Central, people on the West Coast that are seeing the movie later in the day, like I am around 7:30, can listen to that episode probably once we're out of the theater and get immediate reactions. Then, so that'll be Thursday. Then Friday, we're going to get another Fantastic Friday release, building up to Fantastic Four. And then Sunday, like I said, our full spoiler review with me, Chris, Ron, discussing Superman. So we have a lot of stuff coming at you this week. I'm sure you're probably jumping around. I want to give people some shout outs too here. Make sure you're not just listening to us, and I'm sure you're not, but we have great other friends on the podcasting side. Anthony, who was on our Build Your Own Superman movie, Superman Sunday. Digging for Kryptonite is his podcast. He's going to have a bunch of coverage the week of this movie.
Oh
Always,
yeah.
always hold on to Smallville. I know Zach Moore. He's great. He's not as drinking the Kool-Aid as we are, so I'll be curious to see his thoughts when he comes out of the theater. He releases Superman specials where he discusses his thoughts coming out of the theater. So I'll be excited to listen to theirs. You also have just a bevy of Superman podcast out there, but wanted to highlight those two. Those will probably be my first two I go to after I listen to you guys and your out of theater reaction.
Yeah. Also, Zeddy and Vigilante 1939 are probably going to have a blast with this movie. I can only imagine.
True. I
And
don't know if
DC,
theirs will be out right away because I know
right.
I think Nico said that he is going to be out of town for the fan event one that they're all going to, or maybe the first day release. So I'm not sure if they'll get it out right away or not. But yeah, definitely listen to them as well.
And Holy Bad Cast and DC Unlimited as well
There you go.
deserve some shout outs. Both have people who have come onto our show. So Andy from Holy Bad Cast is the best, and Chris Evans is such a supremely awesome dude. So definitely check out those shows.
Yeah, I was listening to Holy Batcast and their coverage earlier this week. I was listening to them talk about the pilot for Lois and Clark, where they had a discussion about the pilot of Lois and Clark.
It is on my queue, and it will be listened to soon.
Yeah, it was a good episode. So thank you for mentioning the ones I forgot. And then there are also a lot more like Superman specific ones. Krypton Report has a podcast, right? Like just share the love for all of these people that are going to be doing exactly what we're doing. So if you're listening,
it's our Super Bowl.
This is how I listen to, like, when it's these big event movies like this. I love to just kind of knock out podcast after podcast after podcast of these. Like when the Batman came out, I was listening to like, Vigilante 1939s, and then I jumped over to Holy Batcast, and I jump over to whoever, and I was just listening to a whole bunch of the Batman discussion. So this is our first huge DC movie, right? Like,
it is. And I remember when the Batman came out, Google Maps has like a little track of like you're walking, and like I take walks for podcasts. So it said that day, right after the movie, that Saturday was my longest walk of the year. And I was like, well, no, duh. I had so many podcasts to get through in that one. I think I listened to 3 full, like hour-long podcasts that day. So I mean, it was just you can't get enough of it, and I love it because we have such a wide berth in this community of opinions, and it's so cool because I was so big on the Batman, and some of the people weren't, and it was like, okay, cool. It like adds to the experience. The ride isn't over. We still get to dissect these a little bit, and when we're not all on the same page, sometimes it's actually really awesome.
Yeah, I like listening to people that don't agree with me at times. Well, sometimes if they're being overly mean, I'll kind of get a little upset. But like, just like when they, when they're being very clear about what they like, what they don't like, I find it very fun. And
I learned something from that, and I get a perspective I wouldn't have seen from the movie. I usually doesn't change it for me, but
I guess. So this is definitely our biggest Soups and Sabers one. I know Elseworlds. I actually did the Batman. I almost forgot to mention that I did it myself, but I think it was just me that talked about it. But then I had my cousin on to talk about like sequel ideas, and who would have thought we still wouldn't have a sequel yet? But
well, we might never get a sequel at this point.
Oh boy! But anyway,
kick that can down the road some more.
There we go. Well, that is our intro to this episode. Like I said, we're gonna go over our final wish list. Let's just quickly talk about the latest marketing stuff. We had a new trailer drop today with the ticket prices, with the tickets going on sale. We had a couple TV spots during the NBA Finals that released, and we also had character posters that came out for every single main character and most side characters. I think the only one that I know we have in the movie that did not have a poster is Ron Troop. That's the only, and the Kents, I guess, are the only three that we did not get a poster of. So that's interesting, but I love the way that they kind of unveiled them with the metahumans first, and then the
Mhm.
the villains and
The
frenemies, then the
Daily
Daily
Planet
Planet.
crew. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So um, I think that's all great. I think some people have been weird about the posters. Obviously, you had the people asking, "Where's Lois's poster?" when it was obviously coming with the Daily Planet, and then
Yeah, that's the internet.
you also had people that would be like, these posters are not that striking, and I'm like, it's literally just the same template with a new character. They do this every time for every movie at this point. It's supposed to be cool to, like, maybe you get, if you're a big Guy Gardner fan, you get it, you hang it on your wall, like, that's it. It's not supposed to be like this amazing Drew Struzan poster, like hand draw. It's just a promo shot with the same background. Okay. So I saw that, and then I also saw a lot of people trying to compare them to Fantastic Four's posters, and it's just exhausting. One reason I really didn't want these movies to be released at the same month was, one, I wanted to be able to, have a little bit of breathing room, especially for this, where we're doing Superman Sundays, we're doing Fantastic Fridays. Now, luckily for us, we're talking stuff in these where we can record these ahead of time and save them for the release, so it's a little bit easier than just trying to fit one of these in and one of those in every week. But I also didn't want that because I just knew there was going to be this endless comparison, and we've done it on our show
Yeah.
too. Not like overly, but there's been times where we've had to bring it up of like, look, out of the two that I'm looking forward to the most, I'm looking forward to Superman the most. But I love both of these, and that's the kind of the conversations we've had on this show. But we're definitely not trying to like pit these two against each other, but we're seeing it now with ticket sales where people are trying to be like, this one's doing better, this one's doing better, and
It's exhausting. Yeah.
tracking and all that kind of stuff. It is exhausting, and it's like that's one reason I wish Fantastic Four had moved. But
I wish we had more people following Pedro Pascal's example, sharing that Instagram
yes,
post of
yeah.
the super fantastic hashtag with the two logos in the sunset. I thought that was beautiful, and I think we should have more of a rising tides lift all boats kind of an attitude with these movies, especially because, let's be honest, if you go to Marvel movies, you probably go to DC movies. If you go to DC movies, you probably go to Marvel movies. If you're listening to this podcast, it's called Soups and Sabers. It's pretty much a, a package deal, and I just don't understand why we have to have these little petty fights. I I am so much more excited for Superman than Fantastic Four for Steps, but I mean that doesn't mean I'm not going to be there opening night for Fantastic Four First Steps, and I'm not really excited to see the Thing look in all his comic accurate glory. That to me is going to be a blast, and I wish it wasn't a direct comparison. But I feel like we would compare this if it delayed to August or September anyway. I feel like that's just the way it would go. It's kind of like division rivals at this point in the sense that they're just right up against each other. There's nothing you can do, but the fans are going to do what they're
Well,
going to do.
yeah, no, I definitely think people would have compared them at some point during the year since they're coming out the same year. But it's not like, with it being the same month, it's heightened, right? Like, definitely heightened. We don't see like a lot of comparisons with Brave New World and this. Now, of course, there's obviously different things going for it, right? Like in the sense of they're both reboots of things that maybe haven't gotten right on film for quite a while. That is causing them to. It's also like Superman's the first hero, Fantastic Four is the first hero of the Marvel comics. Like there are like already parallels that
Right.
make people do this, but it's definitely heightened when it's the same month, and they might actually eat into each other's box office a bit. I do think both can be successful without stepping on each other's toes, but
So
we'll see.
the argument people are making is that people make choices about which movies they go to, and they can't see them all, and
Yes, and you
that
also
a
have Jurassic
family,
World.
yeah, and then a family might say, okay, we're going to this one, but we're not going to go to everyone. And I really think that Superman has such an advantage to me that I because I think crypto brings in more kids. I think the bright colors, the blue, and it comes first. I think it has an advantage with the four quadrants right now, the way
Yeah,
this movie is setting up. But I don't think like either movie is going to be bad for an audience. Like I hate this conversation because it makes me feel guilty, but I just think Superman is going to kill it right now, and I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right, and then I hope I'll be rooting for Fantastic Four the second I'm out of the Superman theater and I've had my moment as a Superman fan, as a DC fan. Once I have my moment, I will enjoy being a cheerleader for Fantastic Four because, like I said, a rising tide, you know, it
yeah.
benefits us all. I just wish we would be more into this is a genre that we enjoy. This is a type of movie that we enjoy and kind of get the companies out of it. Because at the end of the day, we're arguing over billionaires' money. It's not our money. We don't get any of the money that comes from the box office. What we're rooting for is the success of our brand because then we'll get more of it. So, but guess what? If Fantastic Four struggles, it definitely affects DC Studios. It's all kismet. So I just think we should all root for superhero movies in general. And especially when you got two ones that look like this. You have the first family of Marvel and the granddaddy of all superheroes. It's just dumb. We should enjoy Super Fantastic Summer because we might never ever have a summer like this in terms of box office, in terms of movies for DC and Marvel together. Like that's fireworks to me. That's just more July 4th. I'm ready for this, and
Well,
I yeah.
if everything stays the same, we will have Supergirl in June next year and
Mhm.
Spider-Man in July.
It's all
Uh,
over again.
there you
Although
go.
Supergirl's not competing with Spider-Man. Let's be
No,
honest.
Spider-Man will win that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Spider-Man
that
will win that.
let I you could be a DC person all you want, but Spider-Man wins all. I mean, if there's a Spider-Man movie or a big Avengers movie, that thing is making $1 billion. It's just got the most appeal with the market.
All right, so let's get into our wish lists here. We're gonna do something similar for Fantastic Four as well as that gets closer, but just kind of like I guess vibe check. Also, just so we can go anywhere with this conversation. But what is kind of on your list? Maybe like number one, the number one thing you want to see in this movie. Uh, that's on that list of things that you're like, you know what? I hope they nail this part.
I want this to be the crypto coming out party. I so here's the thing. I know Ron's like, I don't know, story wise, why we need crypto in there. And I've seen some people worried about forcing crypto in here. And I hope it doesn't come out like Arkham Knight, where you force the Batmobile into scenes for no reason. I hope crypto is integral to the story. I hope crypto is enjoyable for all audience, not just kids. And I hope it brings some levity to the movie. That's what I'm hoping for with crypto. I want it to be the first, because for the general audience, this is the first big crypto moment for people, who are general superhero fans. I don't think most people know Superman has a dog. And I think this is a really big thing. I think if you could, but the other thing is, if you can set up crypto, I think there's so many things that licenses you as James Gunn and Peter Safran to really go out and try to hit on that comic book movies have been afraid to hit on. I think crypto is a bold thing to put in this movie. And for that reason, I want it to be the number one thing you're talking about leaving the theater.
And I think it will. I mean, we just saw this trailer today that they released. When it shows Superman punching this raptor, as they call him here, Lex's people, It shows before that Crypto is flying and takes the guy's helmet off, so that way Superman can land the punch. So I do think he's gonna be like not just like the cute dog, right? We see him also in some of the other trailers protecting the fortress, right? Like I think he is going to be. I wouldn't even say baby Groot, but I would say he's going to be the Groot. Groot was a standout in Guardians 1, even though he couldn't talk. And I think Crypto equates to Groot. People are always going to equate him to Rocket, and they're always going to equate him to baby Groot, but just think of like how popular Groot, a non-talking tree that just says "I am Groot" over and over again was in that first movie, and how moved we are when Groot sacrifices himself for his family. And I think that's what we're gonna get with Crypto is not a sacrifice play or anything, but I think Crypto is going to
Oh, I don't.
is going to be not just the cute dog, the playful dog. He's going to bring some power here when he is like helping Superman. I think what they'll kind of do here is let's assume them fighting the Raptors in Metropolis is kind of the climax, right? Or one of the climaxes of the movie. What I would think is that Crypto is very like uncontrollable, just a tough dog that's lovable, but you are also annoyed at how much he is making, damage. But I think he'll come around and learn and actually listen to Superman when it comes to that final battle, maybe, and he'll be able to team up and help him out, with that. So I think Crypto is going to be. I really love that Crypto's in this because, like I said before, it differentiates this from the Donner films, from Superman and Lois, Smallville. I mean, there is no version in live action that has Crypto the dog like this. People can say Titans, but it's not the one that wasn't Superman, right? So I think that having Crypto in this is a great. You know what's also true too is that they've had Crypto cartoons and movies in the past for kids. So some kids may already know who Crypto is, and when they see him in this movie, be like, "Oh, I love Crypto. Let's go see this." Because they just had like League of Super Pets. There are kids that watch that and know who Crypto is, and they see him in the trailer, and they'll say, "Mom, like Crypto's in this movie. Let's go see it." And for some of the older people as well, like us, or even my parents' age, maybe, right? That are like, "Oh yeah, we know Crypto. Crypto was in the comics when we were growing up." Like they will be familiar with it. But I think most people don't understand the whole Crypto thing. But I think that it's going to work. Dogs work. Dogs get people in theaters. I think it's going to be uh, pretty good in that regard. So I think you'll get your wish. I'll say
Yeah,
granted.
yeah. And if I could have another caveat on top of that, or another add-on to that, is when we say crypto, people think of the dog, not the currency. Like that would be really
Yes, that
awesome.
would be good.
That would be a benefit to the world.
I already think that's happening because I just don't. I for a while, if you said crypto, my mind probably would have went to the currency. But this past year, since they revealed cryptos in the movie, it's been just I immediately go to the dog.
Well, I know that we do. I think in our bubble, it's definitely there. I
Yeah,
wonder
yeah, yeah.
if we can get that as a general thing. Be like, um, say, "Oh, I love crypto," as being like a welcoming thing about loving a supernatural dog, rather than, yeah.
Step one to that is get the Lakers to change their name to Crypto Arena with a K.
Ooh,
Right? That would be a big marketing move by WB. I'm just
yeah.
saying, like, just pay up cryptos. What is it? Crypto.com arena or whatever. Pay them off, and
For
then
like a
pay the
month.
Lakers for a month to just have the C scratched out and it be a K, and the dog appears. That would be a great marketing scheme. So
You
probably
could
too
have the
expensive.
cape. you could have the cape under the logo and like just
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
it'd be perfect. It'll never happen. That
No.
is the best idea I have heard all day. WB, hire him because he's already had better ideas than you've had for most of the last 20 years.
I can spend their money. I can spend their money.
I mean, I'd
Um,
love to spend their money. I have no doubt that we would have fun with that job. I don't
oh, we
think
would. We
they're going to
would.
give it to us, but I have no
No.
doubt that other people who listen to the show would enjoy that as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's I guess let me give kind of my thought here. I want this to become the definitive Lex Superman dynamic.
That's a tall task.
It is it. I don't think it is. Now, of course, you could say, well, Smallville, but I'm saying Superman here, right? So I'm saying Superman. We didn't really get to see Superman and Lex interact in Smallville. I
That's a
mean,
technicality, but yeah, you're not
it's
wrong.
it's a technicality that Tom Welling will always bring up to you when he says, "I played
He
Clark,
will.
not
He will.
Superman." But this should become like the definitive version, right? Like I don't think we're going to see like I don't know what other people would even consider right now. Uh
Well,
maybe
it's
Gene
definitely not
Hackman,
Jesse.
Christopher
Yeah,
Reeve.
it's definitely not Kevin Spacey. I don't think people remember that.
No, it's
Uh,
definitely not Michael Cudlitz. Like I love him as Lex, but there are
yeah,
people that do not like that interpretation of Lex.
honestly, Lois and Clark's Lex Luthor
But
might
he's in
have.
one season.
That's true. And then you have, I think it's probably Gene Hackman, which it's not Jesse Eisenberg. I think Jesse Eisenberg is the rejected Lex. It's the one that everyone just said no
Yes,
to.
exactly.
I think that was the biggest failing of. We're not going into that movie.
So I think everything in my like what I've seen from this movie, trailers, the people talking about it, everything like that. It seems like they really nail that dynamic and it feels very Superman the animated series. I know we've talked about that a lot, right? Where it feels like I mean, dude, I was getting goosebumps today because there was in the trailer they released, right? He says like who raised you? I'll kill them too, right? And we don't know some of this stuff is spliced, but then you also have a line where Superman says like he calls him Luther, you know, and he's like you won't get almost like you won't get away with this Luther, right? Like I'm like that feels so DCAU right now. So
Yes,
I'm
yes.
like for me, I feel like I'm already almost there to that point of this is to being the definitive Lex Superman dynamic. And one thing that really intrigued me in this trailer when they released the tickets was Lex saying, like, finally we meet face to face. And for me, I was like, oh, okay. And James Gunn said in this Fandango interview that Superman's been active for 3 years, right? So we kind of now know how long he's been Superman. The fact that he and Lex have probably had like he's probably foiled Lex's plans in the past, but they haven't really had this face to face is really intriguing to me.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
I think this is really cool that like I thought maybe we would have missed that, but knowing now that like and it looks like he says this when he has them locked up in the cages. So and we also know we have scenes that we had pictures of and that we looked at before where he is literally face to face with him in Lex's office. So I think that means we're getting at least a handful of scenes of these two face to face and having this dynamic. And that's kind of what I want from this movie. And I know that's a broad statement, but I guess if I had to whittle it down even more, it's just give me really good comic accurate post crisis Lex Superman conversations and face-offs. Some of those are like the biggest things we have memories of, like if we did count Smallville, right? Like Lex and anytime Lex and Clark shared a scene, especially when Lex starts going down that dark path, is a big moment. We
Mhm.
have I mean, how much we loved when we talked about Superman and Lois when he flies into Lex's office after he comes back from prison, and now he's got the shaved and he's in a suit and stuff, and Superman
Mhm.
kind of calls him out for it, like those type of things are what I remember from any of these Superman media. I mean, I was actually just watching Superman 2 as well, and there's a really great Lex and Superman scene in that I would probably put above any from Superman the movie. I actually really dug Superman 2 a lot, and it was the theatrical
It's
cut.
it's better than the first movie without the. It doesn't have the love that Superman 78 does, but that fight with Zod is very good.
Well, it's also got like you can skip ahead for like one thing that this movie is able to do is that there's no origin, and Superman 2 was able to do that because we already saw
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And he's just Superman at the start of it. So he's got like this great shirt rip when he goes to the Eiffel Tower. He's got this great scene with Luthor when Lex is uh trying to kind of tell Superman like about Zod, and it seems like he's turning on Zod, but then he immediately turns on Superman when Superman tells him about the
Hmm.
molecule uh chamber, but Superman thought he would anyway, right? And like those type of dynamics I thought was really cool too. So
I also love that movie because there's so much Smallville did with that movie, especially with the like fake out with Zod, and
oh
you
yeah, with
know,
the power. Yeah.
yeah, that was really awesome. I think Smallville took a lot from Superman 2. Superman 2 is one of those movies that like I was like I didn't expect to like because I think it has the reputation that 3 and 4 do, and I think it's just as
It's
good as
kind of got a
78.
it's kind of got a reputation because they fired Richard Donner and then they
Yeah,
have the Donner cut now. So I didn't watch the Donner cut. That's kind of on my list.
you're right. I've
And
only seen the theatrical.
by the time this releases, I probably will have watched it because I actually bought Superman 2 and the Donner cut, I think pretty much back to back digitally.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so I watched 2 for it was probably not my first time watching it, but it was my first time of like recent memory where I could actually understand what was, I guess, happening. I largely had mostly stuck to the TV side of Superman. Like I never owned the VHSs of these, I don't think, growing up. So that was always tough. So then I bought Superman on 4K when that came out. And then I think I bought Superman 2 digitally around the same time, watched it just the other day from recording. And I plan to watch the Donner Cut and I plan to watch Superman Returns before we get to that. And then maybe 3 and 4 if I have time. But it's just been a blast kind of revisiting some of these that I
Hmm.
hadn't seen in a long time. And yeah, so if I had to probably put it a little more succinctly, is just give us a lot more of these Lex Clark scenes because I think these two, and that's one thing I'm not worried about either. Like in the 80s, not so much like 78 and like Superman
Right.
stuff, but like Batman 89 kills the Joker, right? Spider-Man 1 kills Green Goblin. And even some of the like MCU ones, we haven't like had this type of villain where it is
Right.
this big guy like Lex. Like this really feels like a Raimi-esque thing where it's like we're seeing Lex versus Superman, kind of like Green Goblin versus Spider-Man. But one thing I really like about this is I don't have the fear that they're going to kill off Lex in this movie. I think he's Lex for the foreseeable future. And
Yeah.
if we get a World's Finest, if we get a Superman 2, I would suspect that Lex probably shows up in this, So I'm
Yeah.
really excited for it.
With that Raimi reference, now all I can think about is Nicholas Holt losing it and like yelling, "Can the Superman come out to play?" Oh
Yeah, that's
man.
funny.
Right. So I like that. I think it sounds more doable after you explain why it's doable. It just seems like throughout the history, it's a lofty goal. I think I hold Rosenbaum and Welling as Superman Lex in my head. I think I label it the way that Tom Welling hates to label it. To me,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just Superman. But
I label it however works best for my agenda at the current time. If people
there you
watch our
go.
tier list, we count those Superman suits, even though he's not Superman. Yeah.
The red jacket, blue shirt was a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, it was.
Check that episode out, guys.
All right. So what's number 2 on your list?
All right, I want this to be the definitive Lois Lane. I want this to be when you say Lois Lane, you don't think of Terry Hatcher, you don't think of Bitsy Tulloch, even though they're fantastic. I want this to be what I think Zack Snyder was trying to give us with Amy Adams, a different Lois Lane. I think
One
she's
that's
going to be
impregnated by Batman? Is that what you're referring to? Or are you referring
no,
to
no, 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 no.
Snyder's
Oh
other
God.
plans?
Oh my God. Oh God. Let's close back the DCEU casket a bit tighter. I do the baggage with those movies. Oh God. But no, I think what I'm saying is like Amy Adams was like supposed to be a little bit different of a Lois Lane, and I think you're gonna have a take that really works with Rachel Brosnahan. I think Rachel Brosnahan is going to give you everything you got from uh, Elizabeth Tulloch, and I think she's gonna kind of split the difference between Terry Hatcher and Tulloch, who to me are the two best Lois Lanes. I was never really a big fan of Margot Kidder Lois Lane. I it's not that she didn't do a good job, and she actually is very good, for what she's asked to do in those movies. But I want a more confident, witty, uh, funny Lois Lane. Can we get a funny Lois Lane? When we heard James Gunn was doing Superman, the first thing I thought of is Lois Lane's going to crack me up. That just her wit with James Gunn writing, I can only imagine. Rachel Brosnahan, already, I'm used to her making me cackle, listening to her wits on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. If she's written with any sense of life, she is going to absolutely eviscerate this role and just eat it up. And I think she's going to steal the show. I really think she's got a gravitas as an actress that I think very few actors in Hollywood have. I know it's not the biggest name casting you've ever gotten for Lois Lane, but I mean, she's fantastic, and I want this to be the definitive Lois Lane. That coming into this, Superman and Lois is Lois. Is my favorite Lois. So I want at the end of this movie to say Rachel Brosnahan is Lois Lane. Period.
All right. I think it's achievable. I think Margot Kidder was good as Lois. I would probably also put like Bitsy Tulloch up there. Erica Durance I would put up there, but for her, it's almost like the last 2 seasons is where she's actually Lois. Like she's doing
You're
reporter
right.
stuff and everything. I would put Terry Hatcher up there. I think she was great as Lois as well. I think we've had some really good Loises compared to comparing some of these other uh, roles. But no, I think it's doable because I think she's going to be, I would say, the most. I don't know. I would have to
She'll be the
revisit. I would have to revisit Lois and Clark again, but I would say she's going to be the most journalistic of them all.
yeah.
I think she's
It's a
going to
safe
be
bet.
like the way that we've seen in this interview scene in the trailer. You know, uh, like we've said before, he's thinking it's this playful thing, and she starts coming at him hot. So like, I think that's Lois, right?
I mean,
That's
my
Lois.
confidence is very high.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fact that some of those shots we have, she's in purple. I that's another good thing for me. That's just her comic color. But I think everything we've seen is pointing me to think this is going to happen. That's why it's an expectation for me at this point. I expecting this to be the
We see
definitive
her.
Lois Lane.
We
So,
We see Lois flying the T-Craft, which is Mr. Terrific's high-tech vehicle, as the toy calls it. So, so she's not just like a journalist; she gets stuff done. We see her kind of team up with Mr. Terrific at some point, like in the trailers. We see him protecting her in Baravia, I guess it is. But like, she's going to be very involved. So I'm very excited to see her. Wow, we just named all those Loises. I don't think we mentioned Amy Adams too much because they didn't really do enough with her. Like I actually didn't mind Amy Adams as Lois in Man of Steel, but it's just
if she had any chemistry with Cavill, it would have.
The chemistry really wasn't there, and I feel like then she just kind of plays background roles the rest of the time. It's not as interesting. All right, so I guess I'm going to take us away from definitiveness and all that kind of stuff. And what I'm going to say is another thing I want or don't want in this movie, I would say, is I don't want a new suit at the end of the movie. That's what I'm going to say.
I think you're in the minority there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that'd be really cool is if this is his logo for, like, this is his crest and stuff for the movie. What I would really love, because I would assume this is his family crest, and that's what they're doing. It's not like just a Kingdom Come thing. I think the more that it's not an actual straight up S is because it's his crest. Because it's always kind of silly to be like, oh yeah, an S in a diamond is somebody's house crest on a faraway planet. So having it look like something like that, like your hat, the Kingdom Come logo, where it's like, I can see it as an S, but I also cannot see it as an S, will be that. One thing I think would be really cool is if by the time we get to like a sequel, you kind of get maybe a mix of Kingdom Come and this S. And it's almost like by the time we get to like a Justice League or the big final one, he's sporting this because everybody knows him as Superman now. So he instead has the classic S on his chest because he is no longer supporting, the House of L logo on him. He's instead putting a Superman logo on him. And he says, I stand for this. This has become hope because of my family, but everybody knows me as Superman now. I'm going to wear the S. I think that would be really cool. So I don't really want a new suit. I think they should save that for a sequel as well. Like if you're going to get rid of the collar, do it in World's Finest. I don't think we need to see him like, I don't know, come home and change and be like, you know what? I got this prototype suit I'm using. It gets rid of the collar.
Yeah, he specifically says in the post-credit scene, yeah, I heard people don't like the collar.
Yeah.
Or the lines.
He's like, it feels like I'm wearing a suit.
Yeah. I don't care if there's a new suit. I don't care if there's a new suit. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't it's my favorite logo though. So you know me when you say let's move away from this logo, I'm like, Jordan, no. But I like your reasoning. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I just think it'd be a way to show him almost like embracing the humanity side of it instead of the Krypton side of it, where he says,
I think this S is so recognizable already as this movie, which I think is great job of the marketing team.
Yeah, one thing I would say though is like we've seen franchises change it before anyway for and what if instead Supergirl just continues wearing that crest while he wears the S? You know what I'm saying? Like you can kind of have a balance there where she's like, no, I'm still wearing the house crest while he makes his move towards becoming a symbol of humanity and hope. I think that'd be really cool.
And it would make sense story specific because Kara remembers Krypton.
Yes.
And
so she's more of a both. Yeah, she's more of a both. Yeah. No, I think that'd be cool. But that way you can have your cake and eat it too. You have the logo, you don't have, but we've seen like We're not going to see the same spider logo that was on the whole first trilogy of the Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Spider-Man No Way Home on the new suit, because that was like the Stark one for him. So he's going to have maybe a different logo. So like that was recognizable, but now that might not be. And we've seen Batman throughout different iterations have different bats and stuff. So because like what canonically 89 Returns and like Forever and Batman and Robin are all the same Batman. Though that's kind of maybe been overwritten, but I don't know. I still see them as the same Batman.
I have a bit of a confession when it comes to the Clooney Batman. I love the silver Batman logo. I liked that.
I thought what the big like the long isn't it kind of long?
Yeah,
I like it too. Yeah, I thought it's fine.
I was like, I'm not supposed to like it. I was like, but I'm a kid going, he's got a cool Batman logo and he's got an awesome car, which might actually be my favorite Batmobile.
What you're not supposed to like are the nipples.
Yeah, I didn't notice them as a kid.
No, me neither. It's just kind of
I was like, I feel like I didn't notice that it had nipples until I was a teenager, and I was on the internet with people complaining about it.
Yeah. And then you look back and you're like, oh yeah, there are nipples on it. Why are there nipples on it?
I think it's more inappropriate that there's nipples on the Batgirl suit. But especially in that one where it's like Alfred's niece in that one. It's like, what the front door, Alfred?
Yeah, kind of an odd choice there.
Yeah. How did we get on Alfred?
You did. Are you ready for the what's your third item? How many do you have?
Oh, I only have a couple more.
Okay. So we'll probably have to speed it up. We're close. We're approaching an hour. Let's go ahead and what's number 3?
I want world building that we appreciate later, and we might not even understand what it's doing now. I want it to be story first. I want the movie to feel like you can watch this without watching anything else, but I want it to be world building in a sense that when the new movies build on top of this, there's little elements. I want to be watching Peacemaker and be rewarded for a little nugget from this movie that is an integral thing that people in this universe know. And it's hard to say that specifically what I want, but I want this to be a start that catapults the universe and shows you. I want to know more than just what Superman's doing in this universe. I want to know how this universe is and its attitude towards heroes. I want to know what's going on with the Maxwell Lord stuff. I want world building that does not take over the story and that is beneficial 3 to 4 movies down the line, but not necessarily a requirement for you going into this movie.
I'm going to tell you, it's granted. It's granted. I think with the way James handles this type of stuff, it happens. I mean, just look at the Suicide Squad when they mention, what Bloodsport shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet. That's a line that just dropped in there and immediately tells you this guy was good enough to take on Superman at a time. So, like, I think those type of things will happen. We also see it in Guardians when he's referring to like just stuff that happens, but with in a universe where he has complete control, I think it's going to happen. And I think all you have to do is look at like the Suicide Squad and probably Creature Commandos to say, yeah, I think that's going to happen. Peacemaker, we already know we're getting the Maxwell Lord and his Justice Gang. We're also getting Guy Gardner in both that and Lanterns. I think it was yesterday there was an interview with EW where Nathan Fillion said that he had already shot his scenes for Lanterns. So I think we're going to get that when like we see Guy Gardner in this, we're going to see him in Lanterns, and you'll be rewarded for a little, just understanding who he is and how he acts and stuff. Also, in the shot where Lois is flying the T-Craft, we see Jimmy Olsen on a computer, and it is an Apple Mac, but instead of the Mac logo or Apple logo, it is a Lord Tech logo. So again, I think you're just going to get like nice
Yeah.
little world building like that. The meteors on the baseball
Yep.
field, right? Like that's the
Yeah, little
kind
things
of
like that.
yeah, we're gonna.
Exactly.
I think we'll get it. I think we'll get it.
Oh, I do too. The way they built that Metropolis set, and we were talking about all
Yeah,
the set
yeah,
photos. I think they care about the details like that. I'm not worried about this one. I'm excited about this one. There's a
yeah.
difference there.
All right, let's try to think about another one that another wish list I have here is just I think a wish I have is more on the fan side, okay? And that's going to be just have fun with it. Now, I'm not going to say like the movie just because you can't like it or whatever like that. What I mean is we don't have to overanalyze everything about metrics. We don't have to overanalyze any of this stuff. Don't panic with cinema scores, reviews, anything like that. Just go and enjoy that for the first time in 13 years, 12 years, sorry, first time in 12 years, we have a Superman solo movie out in theaters. I mentioned this on a tweet before, but I was just starting dating my wife 12 years ago. And one of the first movies we went to see together was Man of Steel because she knew I was a big Superman fan. She went along because of Henry Cavill. I understand. I went along because it was Superman, right? And uh, it was. I remember walking out liking it well enough, I guess, but I didn't buy it on Blu-ray for a couple years, so it wasn't like I was over the heels with it or anything. But this podcast started in 2021, the Elseworlds part of it, and we started with I think like the fandom stuff and Zack Snyder's Justice League. And, you know, BVS comes out after after Man of Steel, and I had already heard how bad it was, and I went and saw it, and I was like, yeah, not too bad. You know, my expectations were lowered. Not enough Superman in it. Then we get the Justice League, and we get the digitally removed mustache, which looks awful, and I walked out of Justice League even being like, it was Justice League. I don't mind it. I didn't hate it like some.
I had fun with it.
Yeah.
I'm
I've only
stuck.
watched it the one time though, so
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I would feel the same. And then Zack Snyder's Justice League comes out, and I'm like, 4 hours. That means I'm going to get a good amount of Superman. Not really. Then we had the rumors of, oh, Henry Cavill's coming back for Black Adam, or they're trying to make a Man of Steel 2 happen. And then all of that stuff fell apart. But then we got the news. James Gunn was making a Superman movie. And I was finally like, yes. Not only is it one of my favorite directors and writers who seems to understand this stuff, it is a Superman movie. I would have been happy whoever they said was directing and writing this thing. I would have been like, hey, finally, let's do something with this guy. He's one of the biggest known superheroes in the world. And instead, I was relegated to watching Smallville and Superman and Lois. Those were what we had. Lois and Clark, animated series. While they're great, he deserves to be on the big screen. And I am happy that it's finally here. I'm not really going to let anything kind of get me down. If the movie sucks, it sucks, whatever. But if it is good and fails, I have a good Superman movie, and I will be happy with that. If it's good and succeeds, then we're going to get a lot more of this, and I'm going to be very pleased. But I already see people wondering, like, James is working on something else. Is it World's Finest? It's a Superman sequel, but not a sequel. Isn't this the same mistakes of the DCEU? Forget all of that stuff right now. None of that matters right now. and just enjoy this. I mean, I am having so much fun just building up to it. You know, we're doing the podcast, we're doing fun things with it where it feels like a big event, and I'm feeling really excited about it. And I'm thinking, just I wish everybody could soak it in, because when the movie gets here, we're gonna have discussions about the movie, whether it's good or bad, whether you feel however you feel about it. We're gonna have discussions about it. But like, there's this perfect moment in the buildup where the movie is not real. It's starting to get real like it is now, but you're also thinking, you're also thinking it can be anything I want it to be still.
Yeah.
Like this wish list, where we're like, it's going to be the definitive Lex, or I want to see this, I want to see that. Right now, it's still in that cool moment, and I really am living in this moment. I hope everybody else is too, and I just want people to relax, stop stressing about stuff. I understand the DCU hinges a lot on this, but like, it's a movie, right?
Yeah.
So just enjoy the movie when the lights go down. You have your popcorn. We don't have to worry about who won the popcorn bucket war. We don't have to worry about all that stuff right now. Just soak it in.
100%. And I just kind of want to win. I want the win. I want to walk out of this movie going, he did it. And then I want to go on the internet and not be told I'm wrong by the masses. Like, I want this to be DC's definitive movie. I think if you ask people what the definitive DC movie is right now, it's still The Dark Knight. It's The Dark Knight. There's nothing even close. It was 2008. It's 2008.
Yeah.
Iron Man isn't the definitive Marvel movie. You know, they've
Right.
moved on. They've had other wins. I want to win. I want to put a W on the board. I want to say this is the definitive DC movie. I want to feel good about the future. I want to feel like all this buildup was worth it. To me, this is a Christmas present under the tree. I want to open it up and I go, yeah, it's good. Thank you. And then walk away disappointed, but
You don't
like
want the
not trying
lump
to
of
show it.
coal.
Yeah, I want this to be that present that you had at the top of your list that you opened last. That
Right.
they almost hide it. Like, I don't know if you've ever had that moment. My dad did a really good job of this. But like, there'd be that one thing I'd ask for, and it'd be the last gift, and it would be hidden under a bunch of stuff. And I'd walk away thinking, oh no. And then it was there. And that's what I want for this movie, because this buildup feels like that. And I want that feeling that I had when I was just a little kid and Turtles in Time, the video game, was under the Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
I want that feeling. I don't know how to describe that feeling in a way that's practical, that's measurable, that I can say, hey, James Gunn, this is what I want. Please do exactly this for me. But I want that feeling. I want this to be a moment I remember for the rest of my life. I want to be in that theater when I think about this movie for the rest of my life.
All right. That's the last item on my list. You want to rattle off the rest of yours here?
I think we did a pretty good job covering it. The only other thing that I have is I want the Maxwell Lord stuff to feel story specific and to not feel overwhelming. I don't think it is. We've talked about it, how we don't think the movie is going to be too bloated, but I that's one thing that I know a lot of people are worried about, and it's almost going to be like a hey, I told you moment when you have all these characters in it and it doesn't take away from the film, and that's one thing that I want to see.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I think that's a good point, because I understand people being worried about it, but again, if these weren't superheroes and they were just characters A, B, C, and D, I don't think people would be like, "Oh, it's overstuffed." It's
Yep.
because they're heroes and it's the first movie that people are saying this is overstuffed. So yeah, I think I mean, Isabella Merced just said that, like, she's not in it a lot. So I do think, like, we'll get a little bit of Guy Gardner, we're gonna get a little bit of Isabella Merced, and
My
Gunn
my
said
bet is
Mr.
you get
Terrific. is the one that has the most screen time out of those.
Yeah, I
So.
was about to say Mr. Terrific is going to be the standout of that
And
group.
Metamorpho, of course, because while he's
Well,
not
he's
part
the
of the
biggest
Justice
wild card.
Gang, he is, he's going to be a reason for sure that stuff happens in this movie. So I'm very excited to see what's going on with him. And yeah, I don't know. I the best thing I can say about this, Chris, is that I've watched all these trailers and I still cannot put together a timeline of when these scenes happen. So
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
me, I'm still like, wow, I feel like we've seen a lot, but I can't tell you anything. What leads into what, why this is happening. I can't tell you any of that. So I feel very
Look,
good about that.
look, there are trailers that swore you where you say, "Oh crap, I feel like I've seen the movie," or "Oh, I bet you
Oh,
that's the
crap.
best parts of the
Doomsday's in
movie."
this.
Yeah, oh, tragedies from the past. But what I another wish list I'd like is if there is a big secret in this film, don't show it in a commercial the day it goes in theaters. You
Yeah.
know, don't Wonder Woman this for like the Shazam stuff. You know, if there's a big thing in here, leave it be.
All right. Well, there you go. There's our final wish lists for the movie. I'm very pleased with everything I've seen. Just kind of as we give our final vibe check here before we get into the theater, I think this movie, like I've said multiple times, is going to be exactly what I need it and want it to be. So I feel pretty good about it going into it. What you're seeing it like 4 times opening weekend, so I'm guessing you're feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. At least two, probably three.
There you go. Um, yeah, so you can send us your wish lists as you get ready to go and enter the theater. Like I said, this comes out on Sunday, July 6th. Tuesday, July 8th is the first fan showings. Chris will be there. He'll share his thoughts out of the theater late Tuesday or early Wednesday, whenever he can get around to it. And then Thursday, he'll be going again. He'll be seeing it with Ron, and they'll share their thoughts out of the theater on Thursday. That will be spoiler.
I have some good news for you. I will be on vacation that week,
Oh, you took off
so
work?
I took off work for that week. Like
Nice.
I was like that Thursday will not be a problem. That
Yeah,
Friday will not be a problem. I didn't know about the Tuesday, but it will
it
not be a
worked out.
problem.
It worked out.
Yep.
Uh, and then, Thursday night, I'll be seeing it. Then we're going to talk about it. We'll probably record it, I would assume Friday or Saturday, whatever day we can. And then it'll release on Sunday, and we'll have a good time with that. And then we might, still have some more thoughts about it. We might have more episodes after that talking about the movie. But right now, that is the plan as it stands. Because we'll also be doing, like I said, Fantastic Fridays every Friday leading up to Fantastic Four. At the time that this is coming out, we'll probably already have 2 of those done and released. So you're probably already used to our schedule on that. And then Fantastic First Steps, we will, of course, have coverage of that as well here on the podcast. Yeah, so there you go. That's what we got coming up. I hope everybody's excited for it. Thank you all for watching and listening. You can contact us at Soups and Sabers on the social media channels. Have a great rest of your day.